Good afternoon and welcome to the May 17th, 2023 meeting of Chatham's Historic Business District Commission. As soon as our clerk, Sam Strybert, gets through reading the governor's directives concerning these meetings, we will do a roll call to establish that we have a quorum. Sam?
Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 29, 2023 signing of the Acts of 2023 extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Laws 30A, paragraph 20, until March 31, 2025, this meeting of the Chatham Historic Business District Commission is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that people who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number 1-508-945-4410, conference ID 400-809-50, hashtag, or join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. While this is a live broadcast and simulcast on Channel 18, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide real-time access. We will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. In accordance with town policy, the public can speak to any issue or hearing or business item on the agenda during the meeting when recognized by the chair.
Thank you, Sam. All right, as I said, we'll now do a roll call. Our Vice Chair, Darcy Sequin.
Darcy Sequin is here.
Our Clerk, Sam Strybert.
Sam Strybert is here.
Regular Member, Bob Burns.
Bob Burns is here.
Okay, Regular Member, Doug Grattan.
Doug Grattan is here.
Our first alternate, Steve DeBoer.
Steve DeBoer is here.
And our second alternate, Tim Gilmore.
Tim Gilmore is here.
Very good. All right, first order of business will be the approval of the minutes. As soon as those are approved, we'll move on to the applications. And when our clerk, Sam Strybert, reads your application, we ask that you move to one of the podiums on our right, introduce yourself and give a brief synopsis of what you're proposing. Thank you. All right, anybody have anything to say about the minutes of May 3rd? No?
Doug Grattan will make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Thank you.
Darcy Sequin will second the motion.
Thank you. Motion made and seconded. Bob?
Bob, I wasn't here for the whole
I
meeting.
thought you watched
I
the,
watched it.
yeah, okay,
So, Bob Burns in favor.
okay.
Steve DeBoer is in favor.
Darcy?
Darcy Sequin is in favor.
Sam?
Sam Strybert is in favor.
Doug?
Doug Grattan's in favor.
Tim?
Tim Gilmore is in favor.
And Dan Silver's in favor as well. All right.
All right, so the first item on the agenda is new construction. 23-63, Town of Chatham, care of Theodore Keon. Application to relocate the existing storage shed and construct a new ADA bathhouse with storage and ADA accessible pathway along the waterfront located at 90 Bridge Street.
And I know we have somebody here. Yes, sir, please.
If I may speak from here,
Absolutely, I have no problems.
I appreciate that. So I'm sure you've all heard of the 90 Bridge Street project in many fashions. It's a very important waterfront parcel that we purchased a number of years ago with the very primary intent to establish new waterfront access infrastructure and a very important component to our shellfish propagation program, a new upwelling facility. The specific application before you is relative to our proposal for a new restroom bathhouse slash small storage area, essentially on the same footprint as the existing small shed. So it is, well, the existing shed is to be removed, relocated in town, very probably as a town-used shed. We are still trying to figure out the most appropriate site we are not getting rid of the shed. We like this shed, we want to reuse it. We're just not quite sure exactly where we're going to put it yet. We've actually done rehab to it a few years ago to spruce it up, put new shingles, siding, painting, and so forth. Needs another coat of paint in some areas, but nonetheless, we want to preserve this shed. In its place, we are proposing a new, slightly smaller, actually, structure, similar footprint, a few feet further inboard, if you will, into the property. It will provide ADA access to it from our disabled parking space. We have disability access along the perimeter, and then a pathway up to the shed or building, and then into the restroom area. We are trying to recreate essentially the look in many ways of the existing shed, which has the look because it was a typical seaside shanty along the waterfront. That's what its use was many, many years ago, and the look we're trying to replicate is exactly that same look. I can get into the various details of the site, or rather the features of the building. Not sure exactly what you'd like to know, frankly, at this point, but it is basically what is there, modernized, provide restroom for the local area. There's going to be, municipal uses of the upweller system, a lot of public use of the floats and the pier around it. Even without any of those, there is a lot of public use in this area, as I'm sure you already know. It's probably the most favorite walking loop in Chatham around the perimeter of this area. And during the summer season, the Mitchell River Bridge gets a lot of use for fishing and so forth. So it will be a very important amenity to this site. We considered using the existing structure to house the new kind of use, but it just wouldn't work. It didn't really fit inside. It would have, basically, we would have had to tear it down to rebuild it into what it is now. We have to, because of its location, incorporate various flood-proofing amenities, flood vents, putting utilities up above the floodplain where we can, flood-proofing, wall treatments, et cetera. We have gotten permission through the State Appeals Board to put this structure in this location, so we've already passed that test to be able to build this structure at this location. Obviously, it's within your district, so we are here to get your approval, ideally. And I forgot to mention, we do have Dan Robbins, our design engineer consultant, online, so he can answer some specific details, as necessary. So again, it's going to be a very traditional looking building with roof slopes, typical cedar siding, white windows, double hung, asphalt shingles, and a weathered wood look. White AZAC, I believe, trim. So I think it will look sort of like what's there now. We will need exterior lighting. We are using a traditional kind of lighting fixture that I think is very, appropriate for the site. And because it was part of your package, the walkway, the ADA accessible paver blocks that we are using are a particular style that allow water infiltration for the site. So that was, again, a design requirement to let water infiltrate. And they are ADA accessible, and I think a very appropriate kind of natural color. So again, I'm not quite sure exactly what else you'd like to know, to the structure, but it's a fairly simple one, and I think was very in keeping to the site.
All right, well, let's see what the commission has to say about it. Tim, can we start with you?
Certainly. I just had a question. I went and visited the property. It looked like it's in very good condition, the way it is. Maybe not very good, but in pretty good condition. So I'm wondering, with the historical aspect of it, why couldn't that be restored? Now, you indicate because of the ADA or some other things, it was going to actually be smaller. Would it be on the same footprint, or is it going to be smaller?
It's on the same footprint, but in a smaller footprint. It's just a little bit shorter and narrower than the existing one. But in order to get the flood-proofing treatments, we would have basically had to rip the whole existing one down and then rebuild it. So it really was not in our favor, if you will, to try to fit a new restroom, into the existing one.
And as far as the larger structure that's going to be going in next door, is it going to replicate some of the features of that structure?
No, in the sense that the larger structure will be presumably the U.S. Coast Guard Stage Harbor Boathouse. So it is a tradition, and you'll see pictures of that we can show one now if you'd like. It's a very traditional Coast Guard look. That's a model style that's all over the country, frankly. So in a sense, I guess my point is we're not going to replicate it with a red roof, which is the original livery of the Coast Guard boathouse. The white cedar painted shingles, we weren't planning to do that. We were going to try to replicate the existing shed look that it currently has.
And what about the windows?
For the new building,
For the
little building?
the small shanty?
just a traditional, quality double hung white window.
Okay, no further questions.
Doug?
I have no questions. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Sam?
So I think you've done a terrific job at replicating the shed look. I was just curious, since there are flood vents, what is the interior finish? FRP, I'm not,
What is FRP?
yeah,
It's fiber reinforced plastic is the technical term.
okay.
It's a waterproof, if you will, cleanable, washable surface. We have used this in the fish pier.
Sort of like AZAC sheets,
Pardon me?
AZAC sheets,
It's not an AZAC material. It's more durable.
similar like
It's similar in the sense that it's, quote, artificial.
waterproof.
But it's very waterproof, cleanable, durable, et cetera. So it's a very good use for a flood-proof, finish and interiors use.
Okay, okay. I have no further questions.
Darcy?
Thank you for the detailed presentation. I have no questions.
Steve?
No, I'm happy with the presentation. I'm glad to see that you're trying to replicate what's there, and I think it's going to be a nice-looking building. Thank you.
Bob?
A good presentation. I like the fact that there's going to be another bathroom in town.
You and many others.
So, good job, thanks.
And I didn't mention, when we had originally started the design of this site and the site redevelopment, we were presumably going to go with a composting system because there was no sewer. Dr. Duncanson, intimately involved with this project as well as a sewer system, said, well, wait a minute, we can run the sewer line down here now because we had other projects in the works that needed it. So we did that, and we are now tied into the sewer. So it's actually a much added benefit to be able to tie into the sewer when we complete this.
All righty, no, I think you've done your homework and come up with a great plan there. I have no problems with it whatsoever. So anybody else, any further comments from anybody? No?
So Doug Grant will make a motion under new construction, application 23-063, Town of Chatham, care of Theodore Keon, application to relocate the existing storage shed and construct a new ADA bathhouse with storage and ADA accessible pathway along the waterfront located at 90 Bridge Street as presented.
Darcy Seacon will second the motion.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. Tim?
Tim Gilmore in favor.
Okay, Doug?
Doug Grant in favor?
Sam?
Sam Strybert's in favor.
Darcy?
Darcy Sequin's in favor.
Steve DeBoer is in favor.
Bob?
Bob Burns in favor.
And Dan Silva's in favor as well. Thank you so much.
Thank
For
you.
putting the work and the time. Good job.
Now, I'm on for a brief presentation if that's still something you want for the overall site. Would you like to get a better sense of what the site looks like? It's on your agenda, and I can speak to it if you so
It's
desire.
on the agenda.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's on the agenda, yeah.
Yeah. What's that?
It's on the agenda. He wants to do a presentation.
Well, I
Oh,
mean,
go ahead.
if you'd like me to do a presentation.
All right.
Okay. Well,
Just introduce.
This was
yourself.
more for your own, understanding of what this whole site is all about and what we're trying to do. As you see, with this is a artist rendering of what we hope will be the new location of the historic Stage Harbor Boathouse. Can we get a site plan, actually? So we purchased the site, I believe, in 2014. We made immediate renovations by rebuilding a very small timber pier to try to get some public use out of our site. But the goal, as we always are looking throughout the town, to find waterfront parcels that may have public benefit, particularly when it has access to water. Admittedly, a very small postage stamp parcel, so you're kind of limited in some ways of how far you can go with this small site. But we have, I think, come up with a very, very desirable from both the public and municipal needs for the water access. So when we purchased this site, one of the paramount goals, if you will, was to find a new site for our shellfish propagation program. The upwelling system that's located in the Old Mill Boatyard was shoehorned into the Harbor Master Building in 1998. It has functioned, and it's functioned well, but it's getting a little long in the tooth to begin with, and there's really zero expansion capability on that site. Probably just as important as the inability to expand, it's immediately located next to what is the busiest public use dock area in Chatham, which is, well, besides the fish pier, which is the Old Mill Boatyard. And now that we have reconstructed the trap dock pier, it is equally being very, very heavily used for commercial, with fueling, stuff that goes in the water, et cetera, things that you don't want right next to your intake pumps for millions of seed cohog. So for years, we've looked for a new site. When this parcel became available, it was absolutely a goal. Can we, put an upwelling system over here? So we had many meetings with all our waterfront various committees to come up with many alternatives for site reuse to incorporate, the upwelling concept. Where could it fit? How could we do it? As well as piers, floats, et cetera, for the general public. As we were working on that, we had, I think, a very nice design for a new upwelling system over the water on piles. And we had a hiccup, a good one, in that at the same time, the old Coast Guard pier, after we had designed a different facility, in essence became available. It was in Hull at the time. It was about to be demolished, frankly, and a local citizen came to the rescue, purchased the property, or purchased the building, and that building is now situated in Quincy and is slated to come back to Chatham once we have something to put it on. So as you saw in the, the colored picture, it looks like a Coast Guard boathouse. We want to keep the livery as best we can. We have to change some of the exterior to put in some personnel doors for obvious reasons. And again, some minor changes. We also have to do flood vents along the base. But all in all, we are trying to keep the overall look of the Coast Guard boathouse and bring it back to its kind of finery back in the day. Go on, if you wish. That's looking from the land side, personnel door and a small garage door for access into the upwelling interior. Next picture. If there is one. There isn't, no other? Okay. You can go back, well, that's good enough. One of the stated goals of sort of all the float systems that are now in the air is to have a pier that's going to be open to the public, so people will be able to utilize the exterior pier system. We are not trying to, make the interior public accessible except for special tours and so forth. We don't want just people roaming around, so to speak. But one of the goals is to have this as a public space with a lot of educational, components. We already give tours and have posters and other placards explaining what the upwelling program is all about. We want to recreate that here and augment that, again, just for public knowledge and education. So that's going to be something that we'll be developing as, that program gets further along. Another very important feature that was a goal from the get-go was, since we are sort of starting from scratch, if you will, and we had the ability, given the geometry of the piers that we were working with, this very long gangway will be the first ADA accessible gangway in Chatham. We have lots of gangways, but none of them meet the code requirements for an ADA accessible gangway. So this will be the first time that you have the ability for ADA accessibility to a public float. So that was a goal, early on. I think that's a very important goal when you can make it, with the physical limitations. One aspect, we have multiple floats, around this, and then the pier that's sort of hidden behind the building. These floats have two purposes. These will be seasonal, but they also will be shellfish propagation floats called flupsies. So the interior, if you will, with the lid, a gate, you lift up, and there will be the ability to put shellfish that have grown out to a certain size actually into the float, into these water silos, and let the natural flow of the river system do what in essence is happening inside the propagation system, inside the upweller. So it'll be another way we can expand our capacity, both in the numbers we do, but very, very importantly, which we don't really have the limit, or we are limited at the current facility, is we can grow them to a larger size. And that's very important. If we can get them to a size where we can actually take them out of the system and do immediate broadcast into the natural, wild, that is huge for our own labor resources, because otherwise our seed is often too small to do that, and we have to go plant them in designated nursery areas under nets, let them grow for a year or two, go back out, dig them all up, and at that point, we spread them into the natural. So this, we hope, will be another feature that will allow us to really save a lot of resources in labor and manpower, et cetera. So, there are other features here if you're interested, but, we're excited about this project. We are at the tail end, frankly, of the permitting phase. The design is well on its, way to final completion. We have submitted a grant for construction in the fall for the waterfront features, the docks, the piers, the bulkheads, in order for this building to be brought back probably the subsequent year to be then outfitted and so forth. So if everything goes well, we may be seeing something like that in the near future. So.
Thank you, Tim.
Great.
All righty. All right, Tim?
No, I think it's a great project.
Doug?
Excellent. I'm looking forward to the boat house coming back, so it'll be good.
Sam?
What is the floor elevation in the upweller? Is it below 14 or
Oh,
is it
yeah.
at 14?
That was, it's not, requirement's not the right word, a constraint, if you will. We couldn't raise the land for many, many reasons, and we couldn't put the upweller, up above the floodplain level as much as we would prefer to, when you can. That would have caused innumerable issues of getting access into the building for obvious reasons. Oh, I didn't answer your question. We're about, help me, Dan, 4 to 7 feet below the 100-year?
Yeah, we're about 7 feet below the 100-year.
Okay, 7 years. So we would have had to have an access ramp that would have been forever, and or steps or whatever to get up to, and we would have had very, very limited public access to get up to the pier and the facility.
So
And pardon me, just one other point, and this was a critical point, the water intake pumps, which are very critical to our system, when you get too high, the head requirements become an engineering challenge, and the size of the pump has to get much larger to get the ability to pull the volume of water that we need for the propagation tanks.
So basically, you are below, what is the the elevation, though, of the floor? It's not 17,
eleva-
because 14 is the
It's about 10, Dan?
10?
The elevation of the floor or in the pier are going to be at elevation 9 to 9.5.
Right. And as I say, this is an A zone. We have, done to the best of our ability code requirements for the flood venting and so forth. So we're very cognizant of the flood potential here, and we've done our best job we could to make it as flood-proofed as possible, given the water-dependent need for this facility.
Well, we can't complain about having the building at all, because this is a great reinstitute into our seascape.
We're excited to repurpose this building. I mean, there was many efforts to find a home for this when it was sort of offered a number of years ago. This type of project didn't exist at the time. We had no place to put it. Ultimately, it went to Quincy, then went to Hull. It's back in Quincy, and hopefully we're coming back to Chatham.
Yeah.
Darcy?
Well, thank you for your efforts. And when do you think the total project will be finished? 2 years?
Whatever number I say will be wrong.
Okay, I won't hold you to it.
We're hoping to have, assuming everything goes well with funding and grants, et cetera, contractors, so forth. We hope to have the bulkhead system, the float system, the piers, everything kind of waterside ready by this time next year, give or take.
Great,
Hopefully next season, next off-season for the waterfront component, then have the site ready for the building to return, outfitting the building, and then the other site improvements, including the restroom. We will probably wait till that point to build that.
okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome,
Steve?
I think it's great. I'm looking forward to seeing the finished product.
as are we.
Bob?
One question. On the other side of this building, there's a pier where the commercial fleet will come in to offload. Is that going to stay there? And is there room for them to come in?
Yes. We'll put the site plan up real quick. So that little rectangle there is the current timber pier. This is essentially a duplicate of what's there, just to bump it out a little bit to get into some better water. And then off of it will be a gangway and a new float. It has the ability for commercial use because it's structured, designed for that level. We fully expect to be used for recreational boaters, climbers, whomever. But it's designed to at least allow a potential for commercial offloading, even though the trap dock is our primary one. Occasionally, there is a need for some overflow.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question and one comment. Will there be any access for the public there to do any fishing at all, like squidding or something?
I don't know that I have the answer for that. I think there will likely, we're not going to chase the kids off using this if they're fishing, and then there's no reason not to do it. Squidding becomes a little different topic because of the mess. We haven't really dealt with that so much in our areas, floats. But I don't see why certain levels of fishing would be denied unless we determine it's a safety issue or some other issue. But we have it now. People use the small pier to fish off of it, already.
Okay.
So again, it's a commercial
Right,
access pier,
that's why I
but
asked.
in between, it's not going to be used, 6 hours a day for commercial use by any stretch. We'll be lucky if we see it 1 or 2 times a week or so. So in between, knock yourself out as far as I'm concerned.
And the other comment was, before on the other projects that were proposed here, I was concerned about the view across the harbor there, but, it's such a nice project that
I recall your
whatever view we
concerns.
might lose, I think it'd be worth it.
Well, once this building became available, it seemed to be such a perfect fit to bring back what people wanted to never see it leave.
Right.
So now we have a very viable use for it.
It's great.
Very good, excellent. Thank you. Again, a great job.
Thank you.
All right, I apologize for not seeing that on the agenda, the presentation. Okay, any further questions or comments from the commission?
No,
You all set?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
All right, Sam?
We continued hearing a sign, 23-52, Cinder and Salt, care of Mitchell Kennedy, application to install a wall sign on the structure located at 645 Main Street. And the central permitting coordinator has determined that the proposed sign complies with the sign bylaw.
Hi, Mitchell Kennedy,
Good afternoon.
here on behalf of Cinder and Salt. Pretty standard sign application, 4 feet wide, 10 inches tall, white with blue lettering. And eventually, we're gonna have all the tenants conform to that exact size. They're gonna do their own permits and everything. But the owner, Rachel, lives out of state, so I'm here on her behalf. So yeah, I guess if you have any questions, comments, it's pretty straightforward.
All righty. Bob, can we start off with you?
Yes, is that the current sign that's there?
No, it's
Oh,
a new
okay.
tenant. She doesn't have a sign up yet.
Okay, so, no, I think it looks good. I have no further questions.
Okay, cool.
Steve?
I think the sign looks fine. Is there any plants or any lighting? I can't tell by that picture.
Any
Is there
plants or lighting, you said?
Any lighting for the
Oh,
sign?
to light the sign. As of now, there's no plan. It's gonna be a clothing store only open in the daytime in the summer.
Gotcha. Okay. No, other than that, it looks fine. And it's a nice idea that the others are gonna try to comply to the
Yeah,
same
they,
style.
Rockland Trust is taking the unit on the end and they just filed for a similar sign, same size.
Very good. All right, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Darcy?
I have no questions.
Sam?
Why did you decide to have the sign just, looks like 3 inches, 2.5 inches taller than the fascia on that porch?
Oh, the tenant just felt a little constrained by the size of the actual, so she asked if she could make it a few inches taller, and I didn't think it was too big of a deal.
Because it just makes it look like it's
Right, tacked
stuck
on.
with bubble gum.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, hopefully it's not too much of an eyesore or anything. And I saw the design in color, and I thought it looked like it fit with the building pretty well.
Well, the white on white is somewhat concealing, but it just doesn't look like it fits.
All right, I understand. I mean, we could go back and lower it a few inches if that's going to be the deal breaker.
Well, it was to see how the other people feel.
Right.
Doug?
I think it's a good-looking sign, and I have no further questions.
Tim?
I would agree with Sam on the size. To me, it seems like it stands out a little too much, the proportions, relative to the fascia. But I don't have any real opposition to it other than that.
Yeah, I think if they cut it down, they're not gonna be able to get the lettering in there.
Yeah,
Or
right.
you won't be able to see it.
That was her comment as well, the tenant. She just felt that, 10 inches tall is
Yeah.
not very tall. So
Now,
it's-
you'd have to do something to really make it
Right.
stand out, yeah. All right, Doug?
I have one
Whoops,
more
I'm sorry.
question. Maybe you can just clarify the type of mounting system that you're gonna be using with type of
Yes,
wall
it's
brackets?
it's a French cleat
Okay.
with going on the side. yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you.
All right, so Doug Grant will make a motion under signs, continued hearing, 23-052, Cinder and Salt, care of Mitchell Kennedy, application to install a wall sign on the structure located at 645 Main Street as presented.
Darcy Seacon will second the motion.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Bob?
Bob Burns in favor?
Steve?
Steve DeBoer's in favor.
Darcy?
Darcy Sequin's in favor?
Sam?
No.
Okay. Doug?
Doug Grattan's in favor?
Tim?
Tim Gilmore's in favor.
And Dan Silva's in favor as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on.
So, on the, this applications for signs, 23-58, Salon Fabulous, care of Kelly Tolley. Application to install a wall sign on the structure located at 595 Main Street.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Hi, I'm Kelly Tolley, Salon Fabulous. So basically, I just want to replace the current signs over there. I'm going to keep to the same size, the same color. It's going to be black with the gold leaf writing. So basically, it's going to go in the exact same spot, and nothing else will really change. It's currently Focus Gallery right now, but I did buy the space, so I will be moving in there.
All righty. Tim?
Just one question on the scissors as the A. I'm just wondering, and I'd put it out there to the board. Does that conform with the other signs? Will they be allowed to change their lettering, such as using symbols to indicate A's or any other letters? My only question. I mean,
Other signs in general, or?
the other lattice signs that are gonna be going in there, I'm just
Okay.
wondering if we're gonna be using descriptive items, such as a picture of scissors to indicate an A, are other people going to be, potentially doing that? I'm just wondering the board's position on that.
Well, as I've said several times, we just have to decide whether it's all right, appropriate for the Historic Business District.
I don't see any reason to object to the sign as it exists, the picture shown.
Okay, thank you.
All righty. Doug?
Yeah, Kelly, is there any lighting on that sign now, and there's not going to be any?
No, there's
Okay.
no lighting.
I think it's a nice-looking sign. so-
Thank you.
Sam?
I agree with Doug. I think it's an improvement over Focus.
Thank you.
And I think the A as scissors is safe. It'll never, no one else would ever use that. unless-
Okay, thank
So
you.
I think you're safe there. So I think it's a nice adaptation of the existing sign.
Darcy?
I agree. I think it's great that you've done it. It tells you what it is, you know?
It's a hair salon. We want to
Right,
have something a little fun.
exactly.
I think it's fine. It's basically replacing what's already there.
Exactly.
With just different verbiage, so I don't have a problem with it at all.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Kelly, well done. I like the sign very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't see any reason for it not being appropriate.
Okay.
Great sign, actually.
Thank you.
All right,
So
Doug.
Doug Grant will make a motion to signs, application 23-058, Salon Fabulous, care of Kelly Tolley. Application to install a wall sign on the structure located at 595 Main Street as presented.
Darcy Seacon will second the motion.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. Steve?
I would vote to approve.
Darcy?
Darcy votes to approve.
Sam?
Sam Starbird votes to approve.
Doug?
Doug Grant votes to approve?
Tim?
Tim Gilmore votes to approve.
Bob?
Bob Burns votes to approve.
And Dan Silva votes to approve. Fooled you, didn't they?
Yeah, you did.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I have a couple more up
more.
here, so I might as well
Yeah,
just
and
stay.
You're gonna have to start over again and
Yeah.
introduce yourself.
Kelly
again.
Tolley, so
I've got to read the application. 23-59, Salon Fabulous, care of Kelly Tolley. Application to install hanging sign on the structure located at 595 Main Street. And again, the Central Permitting Coordinator has determined that the sign complies with the sign bylaw.
thank you.
Very good. What can you tell us about this one?
So again, it's actually gonna be the exact same hanger, she's gonna leave me the hanger, so, and they will install it for me, from Chatham Sign. So basically, it's the same size, it's still the black with gold leaf, and we're just gonna replace the current sign that's there. Same logo.
Okay, thank you. Tim?
No questions.
Doug?
Kelly, is there lighting there now on that sign? No, we're
No.
not putting,
No lighting.
okay, no questions, looks great.
Sam?
Same sign looks great.
Darcy?
I say so too.
Steve?
No questions or concerns.
Bob?
No questions. Thank you.
And Dan Silver has no questions or concerns.
All right, so under signs, application 23-059, Salon Fabulous, care of Kelly Tolley. Application to install a hanging sign on the structure located at 595 Main Street as presented.
Darcy Seacon will second the motion.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Tim?
Tim Gilmore approves.
Doug?
Doug Ratton approves?
Sam?
Sam Stryver approves.
Darcy?
Darcy Seacon approves.
Steve?
Steve DeBoer approves.
Bob?
Burns approves.
Dan Silver approves as well.
Thank you.
All right, one more time, right? All righty.
Sam's
Sam?
got a,
23-60, Salon Fabulous, care of Kelly Tolley. Application to install a ladder sign to the existing ground sign located at 595 Main Street. And the central permitting coordinator has determined that the sign complies with the sign bylaw.
One more time.
So the sign is basically just going to be replacing the Focus Gallery sign, which is on the bottom. Again, I'm going to have the black with the gold leaf writing. There's obviously right now is white and black, so that will change. But I'm just looking to have one on each side of the ladder board.
Okay, thank you. Bob?
I approve. No, great sign.
Thank you.
Steve?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I'm glad to see that you're trying to match the signs that are already there. I think it'll look a lot neater, so.
Yeah, the
Thank
whole
you.
building is black with gold, so I just wanted to
Right,
look
I think that
nice.
would look much better. Thank you.
Darcy?
I have no questions.
Dan?
I have no questions.
Doug?
That's great improvement, no questions.
Doug? Yes. Tim?
No questions.
Dan Silver has no questions. Okay, Doug.
All right, so under signs, application 23-060, Salon Fabulous, care of Kelly Tolley. Application to install a ladder sign to the existing ground sign located at 595 Main Street as presented.
Darcy Seacon will second the motion.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. Bob?
Burns in favor.
Steve?
Steve DeBoer's in favor.
Darcy?
Darcy Seacon is in favor.
Sam Stryver in favor.
Doug?
Doug Ratton's in favor?
Tim?
Tim Gilmore in favor.
And Dan Silver's in favor as well.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
You.
Now we're moving to 23-64, The Cape, care of Karina Emery. Application to install a ground sign located at 894 Main Street.
Hi,
Good afternoon.
I'm Karina Emery. I'm the owner of The Cape, and we're selling lifestyle accessories, mostly handmade in Chatham. We are selling handbags, bracelets, phone accessories, and yeah, I'm looking for the approval from you to install the sign. It's going to be beige with black writing. It's below the main logo. It shows the lifestyle accessories, what we're doing, and it's made with love by the sea. So that's what it.
Jim?
No questions.
Doug?
So, questions, what's the AE symbol? Is that anything in particular that's, you're putting on the sign?
So that's just, so because the name is The Cape,
Yeah,
we wanted to kind of like have a cute little take on, instead of writing it with C-A-P-E.
yeah.
We just decided that's just part of the logo and.
So
thought
is
it
the
was cute.
AE on top, Billy, a logo?
So that's what you're talking
Yeah.
about, okay. The AE is a little, so we're making these bracelets, and it's a little bead that
Okay.
just shows the AE.
Okay,
And, yeah, we wanted to have that on the sign as well.
all right. Is there any lighting on the sign?
We're hoping to, if you look by the bushes down there.
Ground
there's-
lighting? Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I have no questions, no further questions.
Okay, Sam?
I think I neglected to mention that the sign
Oh, right.
coordinator had determined that the sign conforms to the bylaw. And I have no question, no problems with this. I like the pinker color that's in our thing than the beige, but that's just,
You like this color?
yeah,
Yeah, that's what it's gonna be. I think the printouts just,
well.
it's not gonna be this, like, light. It's gonna be a
Okay.
little bit darker,
Sounds good.
yeah.
Darcy?
Are you going to keep the posts white? Or are you going to paint those too?
They're gonna stay white.
Stay white?
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
Steve?
I really don't have any questions. This looks like it's replacing an existing sign? right?
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
And is this actually two pieces?
Yep.
Or is it okay, there is a break between the two
Yep.
pieces, okay. Other than that, I don't have any other questions, thank you.
Thank
Bob?
you.
Looks good, no questions.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, looks good. I haven't got any questions. Everybody asked them. Doug?
All right, so under signs, Doug Grant will make a motion for application 23-064, The Cape, care of Karina Emery, application to install a ground sign located at 894 Main Street as presented.
Darcy Sequin will second the motion.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. Bob?
Bob Burns in favor.
Steve?
Steve DeBoer is in favor.
Darcy?
Darcy Sequin is in favor.
Sam?
Sam Stratford is in favor.
Doug?
Doug Ratten's in favor?
Tim?
Tim Gilmore in favor.
And Dan is in favor as well.
Thank you. I think I
You're
have
welcome.
another.
One more time.
Sign, yeah.
Okay. The application is covered also by 23-65, The Cape, care of Karina Emery. Application to install a ladder board sign to the existing ground sign located at the 894 Main Street.
All right, if you'll reintroduce yourself, and tell us what you,
So this is pretty much exactly the same sign. I'm surprised because we had another application that for the wall, sorry. It's the same sign. So I guess it's just the other side, right?
In this case, the sign agent had determined that because they are two separate signs, they needed two separate applications.
Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't even.
You didn't apply for the wall sign as of yet because it would have required sign code appeals committee.
Okay, I understand. So then that's exactly the same sign, just on the other side.
It's the lifestyles.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
all righty. Bob?
Looks good, no questions.
Steve?
No questions. That kind of answered my previous question about there being two signs. So one of
Okay.
them is actually being
Yeah.
considered a ladder sign.
Okay.
Okay.
Darcy?
I have no questions.
Sam?
I think it's, one thing I think is exceptional about is that it's really legible from a car going by. So
Thank
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Doug?
No questions.
Tim?
No question.
Dan Silver has no questions.
So Doug Grant will make a motion on the signs for application 23-065, The Cape, care of Karina Emery, application to install a ladder board sign to the existing ground sign located at 894 Main Street as presented.
Darcy Sequin will second the motion.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. Tim?
Tim Gilmore approves.
Doug?
Doug Ratton approves.
Sam?
Sam Stratford approves.
Darcy?
Darcy Sequin approves.
Steve?
Steve DeBoer approves.
Bob?
Bob Burns approves.
Dan Silver approves. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thanks.
All right,
So
Sam.
we have another sign, 23-66, Squire Shop, care of Brian Vocal. Application to replace the hanging sign located at 488 Main Street. And the sign, the central permitting coordinator has determined that the hanging wall sign complies with the sign bylaw.
Okay, do we have anybody here, a representative of the owner or applicant?
Yes, I am. I'm calling in on the video. Becky Vocal.
Okay.
Oh,
There you go.
There we go.
can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Great. Hi, everybody. Becky Vocal with the Squire Shop. This sign was actually approved last year around this time. We did make a small edit though, and we added the text Squire Shop. So we're just back to you to approve the words Squire Shop being added to the sign. So that was the sign that you approved last year. And actually, I think if we were to check the minutes, the seagull was white in the sign in the renderings last year. But during the meeting, we said that we had decided we wanted it to be gold, and it was approved in the meeting that the seagull could be gold.
All righty, let's see what's going on. Bob?
Yeah, this, colors match the sign on the Squire, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, no further questions.
Steve?
The sign that's there now, so it doesn't say the Squire Shop on it now, currently?
No, there is, that sign was never put up.
Oh, okay,
The current sign that is on the building does say Squire Shop.
okay. Okay, so I have no
Yeah,
other
this-
question. I guess, yeah, I mean, I guess it's a good idea to put that on there, so you're kind of killing two birds with one stone, so good.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
All right, Darcy?
No questions.
Sam?
So in the packet here is the page with this sign proposal. And this is the existing sign because it doesn't have Squire Shop and that. And the picture that's on the building, it shows the sign over the awning. But the caption of the photograph says the bracket was replaced last year and will be moved up slightly so the sign hangs just above the awning. It looks like it's hanging above the awning.
Photoshopped.
Huh?
I think that's photoshopped.
Yeah, I
Oh.
photographed it.
Okay,
Yeah, this sign that you're looking at right now was never installed. We never had it made.
oh,
So
okay.
the approved was never made.
All right, I have no further questions.
Doug?
I think it's a great looking sign. I have no questions.
Jim?
No
Thank-
questions.
Ian Silver has no questions.
Okay, so under signs, application 23-066, the Squire Shop, care of Brian Volkel. Application to replace a hanging sign located at 488 Main Street as presented.
Darcy Sequin will second the motion.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Tim?
Tim approves. Tim Gilmore.
Doug Ratton approves?
Okay, Sam?
Sam Stryber approves.
Darcy?
Darcy Sequin approves.
Steve DeBoer approves?
Bob?
Bob Burns approves.
Ian Silver approves as well. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Hey, Sam.
Additions and alterations, 22-61, Colonial Building LLC, care of James M. Norcross Esquire. Application to repaint the brick siding and windows on the structure located at 641, 647 Main Street.
Good afternoon, Jamie Norcross representing Colonial Building LLC.
Good afternoon, Jamie.
So my clients bought this property last year, and as you may have seen from driving by, the exterior needed a little bit of sprucing up, which they have undertaken during the last several months. Unfortunately, they were unaware that the repainting required your approval first, so they jumped the gun on that piece. But they have painted the bricks white, the siding white, and the windows have been painted black. So we're hopeful you like the traditional colors and that they can stay without any change. But happy to answer any questions.
All righty. I will have to note that they don't need approval for the white, the color white on the brick, but they do need approval for painting the brick for the change of the color of the brick.
Uh-huh.
And they need approval for the windows.
Okay.
All right, so, Tim?
As far as painting the brick, It looks like they were formerly painted, the bricks were formerly painted white.
They were, and it looks like over the years it just lost some of that color from that photo you can see there.
Okay, not a fan of painting the brick, but if it was formerly white, I guess I don't have any questions.
Doug?
I think it's a great improvement on the structure, so I like the white and I like the black windows, so I have no questions.
Sam?
I'm totally okay with the white brick.
Darcy?
I think the black and white is appropriate for the area. I have no problems with it.
Steve?
I think it was a needed touch-up, and I think it looks pretty sharp, so very good.
Bob?
I have no questions. Thank you.
And I thank you very much for coming in, for complying with my letter.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so Doug Grattan will make a motion under additions/alterations 23-061, Colonial Building LLC, care of James M. Norcross Esquire, application to repaint the brick siding and windows on the structure located at 641-647 Main Street as presented.
Darcy Sequin will second the motion.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. Ken?
Tim Gilmore approves.
Doug?
Doug Grattan approves.
Sam?
Sam Stryber approves.
Darcy?
Darcy Sequin approves.
Steve?
Steve DeBoer approves.
Bob?
Bob Burns approves.
And Dan Silver approves as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Have a nice
Good to
evening.
see you.
We have an administrative approval / exemption, 23-02062, Colonial Building LLC, care of Casalt Roofing, ratification of a certificate of administrative approval to replace the roof on the structure located at 641, 647 Main Street.
This administrative approval was done by Doug and Darcy, and they were replacing the roof with a pewter gray color.
Okay. All right, any questions from anybody? No? Go ahead.
So Doug Grattan will make a motion on administrative approval/exemption, application 23-062, Colonial Building LLC, care of Casalt Roofing, ratification of a certificate of administrative approval to replace the roof on the structure located at 641-647 Main Street as presented.
Darcy Sequin will second the motion.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. Steve?
Steve DeBoer votes to approve.
Bob?
Bob Burns votes to approve.
Darcy?
Darcy Sequin votes to
Yeah.
approve.
Sam Stryber votes to approve.
Doug?
Doug Grattan votes to approve.
Ken?
Tim Gilmore votes to approve.
And Dan Silver votes to approve. Okay, I've run to the end of my page.
Doug Grattan makes a motion to adjourn the meeting.
And Darcy Sequin will second the motion.
Oh, we're getting,
We actually have one more on the agenda.
Wait, hold this. Hide.
going to the Squire shop.
We just wanted to
Chantel,
see if you
when
were
I
on
went
your
over
toes.
to the 1173 Main Street, was that, does that exemption have to be could that be voted?
That was added to the agenda in time to be ratified today.
It can be,
Yes.
okay. So,
Would you like me to read it? Do you have it?
can you read?
Application 23-067, John Ricotta, ratification of certificate of exemption to replace the rotted retaining wall located at 1173 Main Street. This application was reviewed by Bob and Sam, and it was to replace in like kind.
This retaining wall and set of steps are all large timber, and they're located behind the shop, but behind the real estate office. And you really can't see it from Main Street. But if you go around to Uncle Albert's, there's a little peek through the, and you can see it clear as a bell. But it's totally in need of the remedial work, and I would vote for it.
Okay, do you know what he's replacing it with, Sam?
What?
Do you know what he's replacing it with? Like to like, or?
I think it's like to like, yes. Replace rotted retaining wall and deck and fixed patio that has started to collapse with the wall.
Okay.
It's lasted 15 years. I think he's going to replace it like for like. There's
All righty.
I looked at it, and should be replaced.
Any of those things should be replaced, yeah. All right, Doug.
So Doug Rat will make a motion under administrative approval / exemption, application 23-067, John Ricotta at 1173 Main Street to replace the wall as presented. Is that good?
Darcy Seacon will second the motion.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. Bob?
Bob Burns in favor.
Steve?
Steve DeBoer's in favor.
Darcy?
Darcy Seacon was in favor.
Sam?
Sam Stryber approves.
Doug?
Doug Ratton approves.
Tim?
Tim Gilmore approves.
And Dan Silver approves as well. All right. Is that it this time?
There's a motion on the table.
That is it.
Is there a motion on the table?
My motion is to adjourn the meeting.
And I seconded it.
Oh, and you seconded it already. Okay. Bob?
Bob Burns approves.
Steve?
I approve.
Darcy?
Darcy Seacon approves.
Sam Stryber approves.
Doug Ratton approves.
Tim?
Tim Gilmore approves.
And Dan Silver approves as well. Thank you, folks. Thank you for your time.
All right.